My next favorite workshop was about using News for You. It was presented by New Readers Press, which is the publishing arm for ProLiteracy. And New Readers Press publishes a News for You in paper form and online. And the goal of the workshop was to show us how to provide evidence-based, and I have a few slides here that were presented at the workshop. Those of you who are parents or teachers are probably familiar with this practice of evidence-based reading. I have to admit it was new to me, but the term was bantered around quite a bit at the conference, and I attended several workshops where they talked about this extensively. So, of course, evidence-based means research from scientific data or expert consensus, and the literacy community has a lot of experts. and then reading is a complex system of deriving meaning from print, and it includes at least 4 different essential components: alphabetics, vocabulary, comprehension, and fluency. And then, of course, we need a motivation to read. And that's where New Readers Press thinks that we should use News for You, because they believe News for You is engaging and relevant. And in the workshop, they also presented a template that we can use to provide consistent instruction that is systematic, sequenced, direct, and explicit. And there's 4 steps. Before you ever start reading, there's a warm-up session where you describe your objectives and discuss, break the ice, so to speak. You can do phonics work, and you definitely work on the vocabulary that's in the story before you ever start reading. And then you go to the reading step, but again, before you start reading, you look at the pictures. What are the pictures telling you about the story? What do you think the story's about based upon the pictures? And then as you read, you try to apply what's being read to the student's real life. And then after you read, you do some analysis on the story, and all these tools are in the application for News for You. You might do a compare and contrast or fact versus opinion, and they're all designed to just determine whether or not the student is actually understanding the article and is fluent with the language. And then you do some word work. You can do word parts or vocabulary review, or maybe you do pronunciation in this section. And then the final step is wrapping it up. And I personally believe this might be the best, or the most important step, and that's where you give the student the opportunity to think about what they've read and discuss in English what they've read. So again, systematic, sequence, direct, and explicit. And this final slide just provides a link to the U.S. Department of Education website, where you can get more information on evidence-based reading instruction, as well as just an unbelievable amount of information on most any literacy topic you can think of. And of course, New Readers Press's motive was to get us to buy News for You. And I have a short video here that is kind of a sales pitch, but it's real short.
We can all agree upon the importance of staying informed with current events, but what happens when the news articles are too complex to understand? More than 43 million Americans cannot read or write above a 3rd grade reading level. At New Readers Press, we believe every adult has literacy. We also believe in the value of being a well-informed citizen, which is why we created News for You. News for You offers easy-to-read news stories from respected news sources, designed to work with all levels in a non-intimidating fashion with meaningful and personally relevant content. In short, News for You is appropriate for all populations. Every Wednesday, News for You posts 7 news stories. Each issue includes sentence-by-sentence audio, supplementary vocabulary, exercises for blended learning, and everyone's favorite, the crosswords. Available on any device that's connected to the internet, News for You is the premier weekly news product specifically designed for adult learners. News for You is the perfect solution for hybrid and distance learning models. Additional features include evidence-based reading instruction aligned to Common Core and Career College readiness standards, including a teacher's guide with a lesson plan and article-specific exercises, a Tips for Teachers section dedicated to supporting educators as they use News for You Classroom, and so much more. Linda, an ESL instructor, writes, I love News for You, and my students look forward to each new issue. It keeps us abreast of current news, both national and international. So empower your students by subscribing to News for You Online today.
So the real question is, will you use News for You? Are you interested in using News for You? As Lynn mentioned, with the award that we received, we got a $1,000 grant to purchase items out of ProLiteracy's mobile fund. And that's essentially just their online products. News for You is included in the mobile fund. And I didn't really see a whole lot in the mobile fund that we'd want to buy, but I would encourage you all to look at ProLiteracy's mobile fund. If you see something there that you think we should be buying, we could use that $1,000 for it. We could also use some of that money for purchasing News for You if that was something you were interested in doing. It's not expensive, so just let us know. That's all. That's the point of this. Just let us know what you want. We can use the $1,000 to buy inexpensive subscriptions to News for You or anything else. Also, one thing that happened in the conference is we were able to talk with the grant administrator there at ProLiteracy, and she let us know that we might be able to use some of that $1,000 to actually purchase books instead of online products. So we could possibly purchase some more of the red books that we use for ESL training.
Laney, I think Deborah has a question.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. On News for You, what is a subscription? Can a teacher log on, or can each teacher get a different log on for their students? Or does each subscription have to be per student using it?
Well, I looked at that real quick because they didn't mention anything about how much it costs in the workshop. So I had to go look at it just the other day. But it looks like you can get one license for multiple users.
Oh, great.
So, and for $125 a year. If I'm reading it, I don't know if I read that right or not. So what we would have to do, if somebody was interested in this, all we've got to do is call the sales rep and figure it out. Yeah.
Okay.
We've got $1,000. We might as well use it. You know, if we're going to use it, if I don't want to buy something we're not going to use, but on the other hand, if you think this is interesting, this is also supposed to be targeted to advanced beginner to intermediate level readers. I looked at it real quick. You can go to News for You online and that you can look at some of the stuff just to get an idea what it's about. And it looked a little hard for my students. I don't know. Might want to do that.
Laney, I'd be interested in looking at that for my student, just to kind of allow her the opportunity to, understand what's going on around the world, around the US, but I'll have to take a look at it first, because like you say, it may be too advanced for her, but something perhaps to work to, because I impress on her, read. And we always have a session of reading during our time together. So this may be an opportunity for her to learn what's going on, what's happening out there, rather than if somebody asks what she thinks about X, Y, or Z, she'd at least begin to have a response to that.
While we're waiting for the grant, if we do decide to use this, I put in the chat, there's newsandlevels.com also, which covers beginner, intermediate, and advanced reading with current events. So it looks like a similar concept, but not as custom tailored to the student and their background.
Laney, Joanne Lee and Mary Nell have a question, and take a moment and look at their screen. Everybody can see it probably. Their hand is up, and this is one way we can have an orderly meeting. I will watch for the hands, but I like it, and this is how we should do it. So,
okay.
Marinelle, you go first.
Okay, I have a couple of thoughts here. My two students who are Spanish speaking are at a advanced beginner level. They're quite educated. So but they have mentioned to me that they are only reading, when they're reading news, they're reading Spanish. They're not reading English. And so the only time they really read English is when we're together. So I think this would be really, really useful. But the other question I have is, you know, in today's environment, I always worry about introducing something that might be politically charged, I guess. And I just wonder if anybody has an idea of the background of this news organization. Do they write their own materials? Do they have a good reputation? That I just wonder about that.
Yeah, their articles are condensed from real articles that are published in the Washington Post and Associated Press.
Okay.
So from my standpoint, they're way too liberal, you know, but they still are relevant in current events. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You know,
I would be interested though. Yeah.
Joanne?
okay. So I have used News for You, and it's great for high, intermediate, and advanced students. You can both have a paper copy. I used to work for Torrance Adult School, and they used to have paper copies. At the same time, you go online. The online I think, is better, but you know, the paper is great too. It's about the same stuff, but it has, like, when you're going through it, you know, it actually reads it for you. So you can listen to the article, and then it highlights, you know, words, and you can click on the word and it'll give you information about each word. And it also has a lot of activities to practice, the content and the English that's used in the articles. And there's several articles in each edition, so you can pick and choose what you want to use. And they vary from political to human interest to all kinds of stuff. So anyway, you know, it's great to use online for advanced students, especially in this day and age where we're doing all Zoom.
Yeah. Again, it could be too advanced for some of our students, but you could use the pictures too, you know. So
mostly the words, mostly the articles, the
vocabulary. Yeah.
And I've used it in a kind of a multi-level class, and you know, they really like it. And you know, they can talk about it, discussion afterwards, things like that. I mean,
yeah.
But you can look at it, see what you like. But for $125 a year for multiple people to use is kind of a good deal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Joanne. Carol?
I just wanted to put a plug in for Breaking News English as well. I use that with my student. It's free, it's online. Some of the exercises seem pointless to me, but the stories are good, I think, and they're in 7 different levels, and I have enjoyed them a lot, and they've been good discussion starters too with my student.
Laney, were you planning to present more, or are you at the end of your presentation?
I'm at the end. I just have one more slide.
Okay, well, I was just going to suggest taking slides down when we're done.
Okay,
so
let me.
Everybody's face.
I'll do this last slide.
Okay, go ahead, do that, and then we'll take a couple of questions.
Okay, so in conclusion, the conference I thought was definitely worth my time. It was a little expensive to go there, but Maureen and I both learned a lot. And I've never attended a conference before, but I definitely would again, given the opportunity. And I would encourage you all to consider going in the future. ProLiteracy offers their conferences once every 2 years. So the next one will be in 2024. And San Antonio was a great city for a conference. There was lots to do, lots of information, or lots of food. I had Mexican food at every meal that I could, and I think I got some of my Texas accent back. Can you hear it? So we learned one thing that I heard a lot at the conference was both at the presentations and workshops is don't be afraid, be flexible, and be willing to learn, be willing to fail and learn, but definitely be willing to fail, because you're going to try some stuff that doesn't work. Yeah. And this last one is, just so you know, we'll be sending you notes from this conference. We're recording it as we speak. There's a copy of this presentation will be provided and all the links that we mentioned. So just make sure you get back with us on that. So I'll stop sharing now.